Hi Christmas lovers! Hope you're all well and feeling super festive. I'm back, as you can tell, obviously, with another book review mashup. I tend to do book reviews. I tend to do them when I've read a couple. Some books I can talk about for like a long time, and other books, you know, don't always have that much to say, so I try and like clump them together to make them more of a video. There isn't really anything to see, so you could treat this video like a podcast, put me on in the background while you do your ironing or whatever it is you do. And I can't get comfortable. I need to get comfortable for this. So I'm talking about 4 books today. The first 2 books I'm going to talk about I didn't actually read as a physical book. I had the audiobook from Audible. I have an Audible subscription because I love to listen to audiobooks. And yeah, I really enjoy audiobooks. I usually tend to listen to audiobooks in the evening to kind of relax me in order to be able to go to sleep. So for me, an audiobook has to have the right voice the right voice in order to like relax me and yeah, relax me get me into that zone for calming down and, you know, for going to bed and everything. Yeah, so the beauty, like, this is not an affiliate, I have not been sponsored or advertised by any of these people, but I do like Audible. I also use my library app. I didn't actually check whether these were on there or not, but our library subscribes to BorrowBox and also to Libby, those apps. So it might be worth sort of checking those out as well if you like audiobooks. Or like with the Libby app, you can read it on your phone as well, so it's an ebook. And I just say that because obviously Audible is a paid for thing, whereas Libby is free. Oh, I'll put your teeth in. Free through my local library, or like my county council's library subscription. The only reason I use Audible as well as the library is because the library doesn't always have the audiobooks that I like to read on there or listen to on there. I'm gonna make a very sweeping comment here that's probably very stereotypical, but I think that the library thinks that the people that listen to audiobooks are of a more mature audience, and my library on the audiobook seems to have a lot of like stuff like crime, like and Stephen King kind of stuff, or very chick lit. Is that a derogatory term as well, chick lit, or so we say romances? And I'm not really a hardcore either one of those. So yeah, I often get disheartened with the library app, so I use Audible. And the good thing about Audible is that you can, I mean, I subscribe, so I buy, I get a credit every month for a book, but equally they've got a library of books that you can borrow whilst you're still a subscriber. So when you're a subscriber, you buy the books, like the credits, buy the books, so you can keep them forever. But while you've got a subscription going on, you can use their library to borrow books. And which is quite good, because sometimes my credit, if it's a long book, can last me a month. Other times I can get through it in like a couple of nights or a week or something. So it's quite nice to be able to have access to that Audible library as well. So there were 2 books that I borrowed. The first one, they're both by Stephanie Laurens, and I've written it on a post-it note because I don't have the actual book and it's on my phone so that I can't see that while I'm filming. And they're both by Stephanie Laurens, and they are both Lady Osbaldistone books. So the first one I read that I came across was actually book 3. but I didn't realise at the time. I found it on there, I typed in Christmas and played the sample, because the voice, as I said, is very important to me. So the first one was Plum Puddings that I came across. And this follows Lady Osbaldistone, who lives in a manor house, you know, and she's got staff. Downton Abbey-ish, but not quite as grand, I don't think. I don't know, I've never watched Downton Abbey. I know, am I like the only person who's ever watched Downton Abbey? And her grandchildren come to stay, and the house, they are making plum puddings for the entire village, but the villagers, they decide that they want to contribute as well to the plum puddings, and so they put jars in the pub and in the village shop for people to put their sixpences in, and they will use those sixpences to put in the puddings. And so the grandchildren come to stay, and the grandchildren decide they want to help, so they decide to clean the pennies. They decide to get all the pennies out and clean them, ready for the cook to put in the plum puddings. But in doing so, they find some old Roman coins, and so they then go on a discovery about trying to work out where these Roman coins come from. And it's a lovely story. I mean, obviously it's the same. When I read it, when I listened to it, I didn't even realise that it was book 3. So, yeah, it doesn't really matter that you don't listen to it in order. The only thing is, I guess they sort of assume, I suppose, that you know who the characters are, because I would assume that the characters have already been presented to you in book 1. But as I say, that didn't impact my enjoyment of the story whatsoever. And then the other book that I read is again the Lady Osbaldistone, and it was called The Missing Carols. And again, I found that one after the finished plum pudding, and that was book 2. So, yeah, I seem to be going through them in reverse order. I haven't got to book 1 yet. I can't even remember. I think book 1 is called like The Missing Goose, I think. So yeah, if you want to start your your reading or listening experience with these books, book 1 is The Missing Goose, book 2 is The Missing Carols, and book 3 is Plum Puddings. But as I said, I am reading in the reverse order, and it is not impacting my enjoyment or my experience of it whatsoever. I have loved these books. The reader, the narrator, her voice is just perfect. It is so relaxing, it is so peaceful, it is lovely. And I'm not sure when they were written, because obviously not having the book, you can't sort of see the details of the publishers, you know, the published date and all that kind of stuff. But they are written, it's not a modern book. I would probably, if I had to hazard a guess, I mean, maybe it's because it's maybe because it is set, probably I would assume in like the 20s or 30s. I assume. I feel like the book was maybe written in the 50s or 60s. It has like I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, because as I said, I don't know, and I haven't looked into it either, but it has got that kind of timeless kind of feel to it. It's really nostalgic, it's old-fashioned. I feel like it's what proper Christmas is. Do you know what, right, we went to the Oliver Cromwell Museum the other day, and they had, in their gift shop bit, they had a mug that said Christmas is cancelled. And obviously, if you know the history of Oliver Cromwell and the civil revolution and all that in the UK, Oliver Cromwell was blamed for cancelling Christmas. And I got talking to because I was like, we saw this and we were like laughing about the mug, Christmas is cancelled, because we are a Christmas household. And so we got talking to one of the volunteers at the museum, and you know, and he was sort of saying about, like, you know, how they back then they thought that Christmas was becoming far too commercialised. People were too busy celebrating and revelling and drinking and feasting, and you know, all of that kind of stuff, and had lost sight of the true meaning of Christmas, of, you know, the religious aspects of Christmas and things. And so that is why they cancelled Christmas way back in, what was it, 1600? 1605, I think, something like that. Just trying to think. Anyway, when the Civil War was. So, and I just thought that was really, really interesting that they thought that back then, even though, like, now it feels really commercialised sometimes. But these Lady Osbaldistone, I have to keep reading that, Osbaldistone, because it's kind of a bit of a tongue tie. I liked them because it just felt homely. It just felt homely, snuggly. It felt like Christmas. There was community spirit. There was community. There was just, I don't know what to say. I just loved it. And the Missing Carols one, that was about, as you could probably imagine, missing carols. The organist at the church, who's a fantastic organist, but apparently can only play from sheet music. I don't know why they were shocked by that, I don't know. And the carols had gone missing. This book of carols had gone missing. And so it was all about that. So it was kind of like I want to say simple, but it wasn't simple. It was just, what's the words? Simple pleasures. Do you know what I mean? Like old-fashioned, nostalgic. Just really lovely. So if you're looking for, and I'm assuming that they'd be a lovely read as well, like a physical book read as well. But so yeah, if you're looking for something really homely and a little bit old-fashioned and something, I would really, really recommend them. So they were by Stephanie Laurens. So they were lovely. So I've got two physical books that I've read. So as I say, I tend to listen to audio books. I have a Kindle, and I've always got several books on the go, because I've always got a Kindle book on the go, I've always got a physical book on the go, and I've always got an Audible book on the go, and I usually have a children's book on the go as well that I read with my daughters. So I've always got several books on the go at any one time. But these are two physical books, because the Kindle books that I've been reading have not been Christmas books. So the first one I actually got for Christmas last year, and I've only just gotten around to reading it, because if you're a book person like what I am, you will know that there are too many books and so little time. So many. My wish list, or my to be read pile, is big. My wish list of books is astronomically large. So the book that I am going to be talking about now is Christmas on the Isle of Skye by Kirsty Ferry. So I'll just read you the back. How far would you go to be with the one you love at Christmas? The Isle of Skye is a magical place, especially at Christmas, and there's no place Zach Fallon would rather be. But while Zach has everything he needs on Skye, there's still something missing, and that something is a somebody called Ivy McFarlane. Ivy used to work with Zach, but then spread her wings and moved to Glastonbury. He's missed her ever since. Now it's almost Christmas, and Zach realises that Ivy's shaped hole in his life is too big to bear, so starts his festive mission to the mainland. But will he be back in time to spend Christmas in Skye? And more importantly, will Ivy be with him? This, by the sounds of things, sounds exactly like the type of book that I would not read. Because so many Christmas books tend to be romances, I find. And it's all about, will they get together? And I'm just not into that. And don't shoot me, but I'm not really into a lot of the Hallmark Christmas movies either. Oh, did you shoot me? I just, predictable. I just find it's like, yeah, we all know they're going to get together, don't we? You know what I mean? It's like that. So, yeah, this would be, I actually asked for this book for Christmas, and it sounds like the exact opposite of the type of book that I would like to read, a romance book. But the reason I asked for it is for two reasons. One, I absolutely adore the Isle of Skye, and also I absolutely adore Glastonbury. And had those two places not have been in this book, I don't think I would have enjoyed it anywhere near as much as I did. As you can see, it's a very small book. How many pages are we talking? We're talking 204 pages. I felt like this could have been longer. Not in terms of the story, because the story was plenty long enough. I don't necessarily think the story could have been drawn out anymore. But what I mean is, I feel like there could have been a lot more character building. I feel like there could have been a lot more scene building. I feel like there could have been a lot more description, a lot more. For me personally, I feel like it was lacking a little bit more depth. I felt like there were certain aspects that kind of were just sort of skipped over a bit. It was a bit like, oh yeah, and then that happened, and I was a bit like, oh right, okay, all right then, fair enough. And so I did enjoy this book. I really did enjoy this book. But I think for me, it was mainly because it was set in the two places that I really like, as I said. So had it not have been set in those places, and, you know, I was visualising the places that they were talking about, had it not been set in those places, I'm not sure I'd have liked it the same way, because I said it is a romance and is a little bit predictable. Will they end up together, you know? But if romance is your kind of thing, then, and I'm not judging you for that, because everybody has their own likes and dislikes, and, you know, my guilty little pleasure is young adult vampire books. There, I said it. The smuttier the better. So everybody has their own pleasure, and I don't know about you guys, but I read fiction to escape and to lose myself and for, you know, enjoyment. So if romance is your bliss, is your pleasure, is your guilty little secret, then I don't care, because I'm hoping you're not going to judge me for my YA smutty vampire novels. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I do recommend this book if you like Isle of Skye, if you like Christmas books, if you like Glastonbury, and if you like romances, then check this book out. It was a nice read, and I did enjoy it. I just felt like it could just needed a little bit more for my liking on the descriptive side. But yeah, I gave this one a 3-star, maybe 4-star. So me with books, right, I do never give anything less than 3 stars, because if it's a 2-star book, why am I still bloody reading it? Do you know what I mean? If I'm not enjoying it, why am I still reading it? Life is too short for mediocre books, or books that you don't enjoy, because there are just a ton out there. Do you know what I mean? So 3 is like it might get better kind of thing for me. 4 is I enjoyed it. 5 is absolutely like tippity top. Most books I read, I give them a 4, because if I'm not enjoying it, I stop reading it, you know? So this was either a 3 or a 4. Can't remember now. I put it on my Goodreads, so follow me on Goodreads. This book, however, got a 5 from me. Oh my gosh, I loved this book. This is Midnight in Everwood by M.A. Kuznaya? Not really sure how you pronounce it. I was given this as a gift last year from a friend of mine, and yes, right, so exactly the sort of book that I would like to read, okay, should have been perfect, but last year, for some reason, I do not know why, I could not get into this book at all. I just couldn't get into it. And earlier, like last month, we were having a bit of a sort out, and did a mix of Music Magpie and Charity Shop for some books and things. I was going through my books, and like working out what I wanted to donate and things. And I came across this one again, and I read it, the sleevey bit again, and I was like, I'm gonna give this one another try this year. And thank my lucky stars that I did and that I didn't donate it, because, as I said, 5 stars. And I have read some bits of this out on my Instagram as well. So let me read you the blurb. Nottingham, 1906. Mariette Estelle longs to be a ballerina, but as Christmas draws nearer, her dancing days are numbered. She must marry and take up her place in society in the new year. But when a mysterious toy maker, Dr. Drosselmeyer, purchases a neighbouring townhouse, it heralds the arrival of magic and wonder in Marietta's life. After Drosselmeyer constructs an elaborate theatrical set for her final ballet performance on Christmas Eve, Marietta discovers it carries a magic all of its own. A magic darker than anyone could imagine. As the clock chimes midnight, Marietta finds herself transported from her family's ballroom to a frozen sugar palace, silent with secrets, in a forest of snow-topped fir trees. She must find a way to return home before she's trapped in Everwood's enchanting grip forever. In the darkness of night, magic awaits, and you will never forget what you find here. So, this book is a, what do they call it? They say, a spellbinding reimagining of the Nutcracker. I love the Nutcracker. I love the Nutcracker. I do something about the Nutcracker every single flipping year. So, I mean, one year, pre-children, husband and I were very lucky to go to London, to the London Coliseum, to watch the Nutcracker ballet, and we had second row centre seats. Oh, on New Year's Eve. Yeah, I know, right? Could you be any more magical than that? That was pre-children, and that was amazing. And we read the book every year, and I try and watch the ballet, and for the last 2 years running we've done a Nutcracker art course, and I just love the Nutcracker. I also really enjoy books that are reworkings of books. So for example, I really enjoyed Gregory Maguire's Wicked. Loved Wicked. Obviously that's a retelling of The Wicked Witch from The Wizard of Oz. Saw that theatre production in London pre-children as well. And I can't remember who the author is now, but Tiger Lily, which is a retelling of the Peter Pan story, but from like Tiger Lily's perspective. Really enjoyed that. And I just really enjoy that kind of retelling of stories. I love that. This, oh my flipping goodness. 5 stars. I just couldn't. It was flipping amazing. I loved it. I'm going to read you, I don't really know what to say, because other than the fact I loved it, but I'm going to read you some excerpts of the book. Okay, now, if you're a book lover, please don't judge me, but I turned the corners over. I know for some of you that is a complete no-no. Oh, where I didn't put things in it right. She chugged past an assortment of stately homes, past the castle and through the city centre as night sighed and settled in. The dome of the town hall was a shadowed husk. The last of the lamplighters trailed past ancient spired churches and modern department stores, their street lights sputtering to life, and everything dripped with festivity. Carols leaked from church doors, chestnuts roasted on carts, and children pressed their faces against toy shop windows. Tomorrow would bring December. Nottingham welcomed Christmas in style. The day December arrived, the winter market opened, spilling out from Old Town Square in twinkling lights and festive cheer. It was the kind of event that enticed old and young, rich and poor alike, out from their homes into the cold. The air was scented with iced gingerbread, sugar plums, and mulled wine. The spectacle crawled all the way from Long Row and Cheapside, culminating in the centre of the square, where a gigantic Norse fir tree glimmered in strands of electric lights. It's just really, really Christmassy. What did I? Oh, yes. In a rare spell of fortune, when Marietta entered the dining room for Christmas Eve dinner, she managed to source a seat beside Frederick. Frederick was her brother. As per custom, they dined on courses of minced pies, roasted nuts, roast goose stuffed with chestnuts, served with gooseberry and bread sauces, followed by fruitcake and plum pudding, flaming with brandy. Oh, I just love that. When she was a girl, Christmas Eve had been her favourite day of the entire year. The traditions of feasting and exchanging gifts beside the Christmas tree in the evening filled her with sparkling delight. Marietta clenched her spoon and smiled brightly. When the feast came to a close, Marietta followed her mother to the drawing room to retire for coffee and await the men. A large, deep green Christmas tree sparkled in the centre, lit with candles and festooned with glass baubles, golden bells and sugar plums with red ribbons laced around it. Presents wrapped in silver paper were heaped underneath. Oh, I just love all the descriptions. The snow was crisp and firm, forging a path of granulated sugar. Isn't amazing? Marietta wandered deeper into the enchantment. It was heavy with a scent of forest, snow and marzipan. Emerald fir trees towered up, brushing against the midnight patchwork of constellations. Path presented itself, pastel pink and lilac cobblestones. Marietta followed it into the town. As she passed the chalet, she discovered they weren't wooden after all, but frozen gingerbread. Icicles clustered along their slanted eaves. Other little dwellings were circular with the striped red and white of candy canes. She paused and grazed a wandering hand over the cobblestones, smiling with delight when she smelt marzipan. The path soon widened, pouring into the central, circular market. Here the air itself was sugared, sweet and soft, like inhaling a wisp of lost cloud. Small gingerbread huts perched on the marzipan cobblestones, with iced roofs and windows through which wondrous items and confectionery were being sold. Marietta wandered by, her heart full of that childlike wonder that leads young ones to await Father Christmas's sleigh and stockings filled with sweets and toys by that nocturnal visitor garbed in green. She wished she had never lost her belief in magic, never set it aside when she grew older, and it was no longer charming for her to still hold such beliefs. Perhaps then she might have trusted her instincts. And so on, and so on. The descriptions are it's just purely magical, absolutely magical. And I don't want to talk too much about this book because I don't want to ruin it for you guys, but yeah, I love it, absolutely love it. It's not a romance novel, and it's full of Christmas, full of magical descriptions like that, but it's very much an adult book. It's Christmas but for adults, like, because a lot of Christmas books tend to be for children, or they tend to be romance. So this one was like 100% right up my street. Flipping loved it so very much. I'm not going to donate this book. I'm going to keep it because I am likely to want to read this one again and again and again and flipping again because I absolutely loved it. It's a big old chunky book. The writing in it is quite small. It was like 400 or 500 pages or something. 342. Okay, not 500. But yeah, really super recommend that book. So there we go. Half an hour. I talk a lot. But I love my books. So yeah, I am currently reading some more books. So when I have done those, I shall do another video on them. Thanks for sticking with me, you book lovers. Merry Christmas.